From year to year, month to month, week to week, and day to day, people across the world are obsessed with a phenomenon that is professional wrestling. But why? 101 reasons to love professional wrestling. There are many components of professional wrestling that should be both understood and celebrated, in no particular order.
Anything can happen. We experience many things during our time here on Earth, but most days are spent in the mundane, everyday nonsense. We go to school, we go to work, we come home, we sleep, we interact with family and friends, we rinse and repeat. David Byrne said it best, "How did I get here?" Thankfully, this is broken up with hobbies, passions, and distractions. Thankfully, we choose our own reality. We get lost in religion, sports, or other forms of ritual. It's how we wind down from the trials and tribulations of life. And the best shock to the system is when something out of the ordinary happens. This spontaneous magic could be our favorite sports team getting the big win, getting excited for a new movie release, or even just finding an abandoned dollar bill on the sidewalk. That is the beauty of life. Excitement and escape can come from anywhere and can happen at any time. This happens every day in professional wrestling. At its core, professional wrestling is a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Wrestling is Santa Claus, a chance to live in a childlike gaze. Wrestling is a riddle, something to constantly try to figure out. Wrestling is art. The performances are awe-inspiring feats with a beautiful story told in the ring. Wrestling is an escape, a chance to disconnect from our day-to-day lives and just indulge. Wrestling is a community. We have the good family members and those we prefer to avoid. Wrestling is life, lived and breathed from generation to generation. Wrestling is literally everything. This is why when Vince McMahon would scream, "Anything can happen in the World Wrestling Federation," we, the fans of professional wrestling, believed him. It was a slogan for the WWF in the 1990s, but it's true about all of professional wrestling. Anything can and will happen. Wrestling, when treated the way it should be, is a blank canvas, ready to be covered with as much obscurity as possible. Crazy surprise wins can easily happen on any given night. Surprise appearances can lift you to your feet in excitement. The top of pop culture has shown up from Hollywood and the music industry. And on the contrary, Muppets, RoboCop, Chucky the Doll, and zombies have made their presence felt. Our heroes can finally achieve their goals, and it means something, because we've been there every step of the way. We laugh, we cry, we cheer, we boo, and we experience all the realms of emotion thanks to wrestling. Ultimately, professional wrestling is a dream come true. Year to year, month to month, and day to day, we delve into the landscape of wrestling. We could have a horrible day at school, work, or home, but professional wrestling is always there. We could have the best day of our lives, and professional wrestling is there to share in the moments. Wrestling is friendship, community, and love when it's not always there in the real world. It's catching the wind of a superhero's cape. It's overcoming struggles of someone we can relate to. It's the feeling of someone else's shoes for an experience outside of our norm. At its core, professional wrestling is a culture of hope. We anticipate the results going the way we'd like them to go. Sometimes this is simply a wrestler getting the world title. It could also be wanting to see the bad guy get their just deserves. It may be wanting to see the best athletes square off in a match rated 5 stars by a fellow fan. We're not always going to see our favorites win, but as the great David Lee Roth proclaimed, it's not whether you win or lose. It's how good you looked doing it. That's why we buy tickets and tune in. We, as a collective community, share in the anticipation. Professional wrestling fans all choose our own reality. The depth of a wrestling fan's knowledge of the business is now a self-restrained perspective thanks to the internet. We can be simple and pure, wide-eyed, innocent fans, cheering on our favorites and booing the ones we hate. Or we can dive deep and debate over television ratings and shout from the mountains about the promoter's decisions. Of course, most of us are somewhere in between. Regardless, we are a family of fans. We speak our own language and all have strong opinions of what has, is, and will be presented. This is not a construct that is fit for everyone. Some people just don't get it and never will. But when you do, it's genuinely a magnificent piece of one's life. Essentially, when it's all said and done, a wrestling show is a room of people surrounding a square with 3 ropes to engage in the athletic theatrics, as told by some of the best artists, performers, and athletes in the world. This and everything in between is part of the magic, and it's always there exactly when you need it. There are many, many reasons to love professional wrestling.